Hello, this is Watch All About with another watch review, and in this review what we're doing is we're having a look at the updated version of this watch, the Spinnaker Bradner compressor. Now I reviewed their first one and it's a very impressive watch for the money, looks great, great specs, decent build quality as well, but they've basically brought out this second version with a few things that have been upgraded, improved, and they sent one through for me to check out and share with you guys. So the price is exactly the same, so let's start with that. $285, that's about £220. However, you can use the code on the Spinnaker website, WIAA20, as in Watch All About 20. That will get you 20% off. So that makes this price, the price of this watch, a pretty impressive $228 or £175. Now for a automatic watch, under £200, you can't go wrong with that, to be honest. So let's have a think about the upgrades then, first and foremost. So one key upgrade is water resistance. Now they haven't upped it too much, but it's still an improvement. It was 150 meters, now it's 180 meters or 18 atmospheres. As you can see on the case back, we there now have an up-to-date water resistant rating there. They also claimed that the loom has been improved. So let me just give it a quick blast. And as you can see, it does glow pretty brightly. I haven't noticed it to be like incredibly bright, like a Seiko loom, for instance. But then again, that's very rare that an affordable watch will match that. So although it has been improved, it's still not amazing. Yeah, it's probably average, slightly above average. But obviously it's good that they are working to improve that anyway. Another upgrade they say is that the gearing of the inner rotating bezel has been improved to be smoother. Now the inner rotating bezel, this is obviously the compressor style with the jewel crowns, which I personally really like. It's nice to see something a little bit different. Jewel crowns obviously really different in that regard. So this top crown is the one that rotates the inner rotating crown, so you'd use this rather than a rotating bezel. And yeah, it is really smooth. I'm barely rotating it at all, and it feels really nice and smooth. It goes both ways as well. So they certainly have done a great job on the inner rotating bezel, so well done to them for that. And finally, they've improved the applied anti-reflective coating on the crystal. Now, as you can see, it is a pretty decent rounded sapphire crystal. So you can see we have our edging there. Now, as far as I remember, this is a lot flatter. It's not as, the old one was raised quite tall, whereas this doesn't have quite as high a boxing, but the anti-reflective coating, is pretty decent. It keeps reflections at bay as much as possible. I think the green backdrop also helps with that. Let me just give it a quick wipe. So obviously, when you do look at a straight up into a light or a window, you do get reflections. However, you can see we have that blue flash of the anti-reflective coating working nicely and doing its job. So all in all, the upgrades I think are definitely worth it. Now, because of these upgrades, probably because of the water resistance, it does mean that a couple of the specs have changed. It is heavier, so it's now 99 grams instead of 90 grams. Not too much of a difference there, let's be honest. But it's also taller as well, which is quite interesting. It was 14mm tall. Now this one's coming in at 14.5mm tall. So I expect that's probably just something to do with the higher water resistance. So just to run through the specs now, the up-to-date specs. So if I just pop it on. So up-to-date specs, 42mm diameter, 14.5mm height, and a 50mm lug-to-lug length. So in terms of size, I've got a slightly over a 7-inch wrist, and for me, it works really nicely. 42mm is certainly a sweet spot, I like to think. It's probably a little bit taller than you'd like, maybe. However, this is the kind of watch that you wouldn't necessarily wear for smart. So, you wouldn't have to be too concerned with fitting it under a cuff or a shirt, for instance. And the extra height does give it, plenty of wrist presence as well. 99 grams, as I mentioned before, so nice weight, not too different to how it was before, but still pretty chunky. 180 meters, 18 atmospheres, water resistance. At the end of the day, for me personally, I wouldn't have minded 150 meters because I'm very unlikely to go, any deeper than what that provides you with in terms of protection. But obviously, better specs is more than welcome. Seiko NH35 automatic movement as well, and this one I've measured, and it's coming in at a pretty respectable plus 8.5 seconds a day, so decent accuracy on that. 20mm lug width, so the strap fits nicely in terms of the size of the case and the ratio there, and finally a 2-year warranty. So the other key features are the sapphire crystal, which we've mentioned, and as you can see, this curved edging is really nice, and you can see we get a lovely reflective edging when you catch the light just right. You see it up here as well. That works really nicely when you're looking at it in day-to-day detail. It gives that little bit extra flash, little bit extra reflection which catches your eye. You can see it really nicely reflect around here as well. So that's nice with the curved edging. Try not to bash it though, because sapphire crystal can chip. It's pretty much scratch resistant, but it's not shatter resistant. And then the other key feature, as has always been the case with the Bradner compressor, is the custom molded inner bezel. So if we have a look up close, it's as accurately done as ever. And as you can see, we have really pleasantly done raised markers. The painted markers are all loomed as well. So if I just get the UV torch on again, we can have a look at it closer detail with the loom showing. You can see there it does a great job showing these loomed hour markers. So all in all, especially with these upgrades, it's still a really, really great watch. Spinnaker have really upped their game recently, and all the watches they are producing are very good for a very reasonable price. So don't forget, for this one, if you use WIAA20, the code, this will be with 20% off, $228, £175, and the build quality is, it's almost flawless. Really, the only negative that I have is always the same with Spinnaker, and that's this, like the applied logo is stuck on. It's a little bit too thin for my liking. Personally, I would like it to be either nice and thick or just printed, because I always find it, this style of application is used quite a lot, and it is at the end of the day just a sticker, so it does look a little bit on the thin, cheap side. It just would be really nice to see that changed. But apart from that, everything else is really good. I like the sun ray effects to the dial base. Obviously, the molded inner bezel is a real eye catcher as well. That's really well manufactured. But then we have this slightly raised outer rehaut as well, which sort of brings the two together. That's this chapter ring. That's a nice subtle bit of texture and depth that you don't quite appreciate at a glance. And then the hour markers are nice and deeply applied as well. So everything about it is really well constructed. Moving on to the case. The case is pretty standard, really, standard slab, but again, decent manufacturing. We've got the Spinnaker logo, the sail logo. It's lightly engraved on the crown there. That would be nicer if it was a little bit better, like deeply engraved. And then moving on to the case back, so the Spinnaker, what they've done is just applied a sticker basically on the rotor. Yes, it's only a sticker, but at least they've made the effort to customize it a little bit. Apart from that, the case itself is fairly boring, at the end of the day. But this one has the DLC coating, and because of the size of the dial, the size of the crystal, because of the inner bezel rather than an outer bezel, you don't really pay much attention to the case in general. And then the strap, really nice green to match the green in this instance, in this colorway, the green of the dial. Decent quality leather, lovely and thick as you can see, very soft top grain as well, and some cute little stitch details as well. And then the Spinnaker buckle has the logo again very lightly engraved on it. So really the only negatives are the fact that this here and this here, these logos could potentially be engraved a little bit deeper. But apart from that, you know, for the price, let's not forget this is under 200 quid and you're getting a really well made automatic watch, you know, with a decent solid Seiko movement. You know, no causes for complaint there from me. Great design, great build quality, and you know they've upgraded what was already a very good watch. So you know, well done to Spinnaker for at least making an effort as well to increase the quality of their watches. You know, it'll be interesting to see if they continue to do this more so with other hot selling watches of theirs, because they do have a number of very, very well highly regarded, affordable, decent divers. So, you know, it'll be interesting to see what they continue to do as they continue to work on their on improving their products. So this was the second generation of the Spinnaker Bradner compressor. That's what it's all about. So thanks you for watching, guys. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and also comment your thoughts on this watch. And I'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye-bye.